David Bowie's first studio album, a self-titled release from 1967, was a complete flop. Perhaps the only upside to the commercial failure was that Bowie was able to reuse that title for his second studio album in 1969 and pretend the first never happened. Of course, the second album was also a flop, except for the first track, which would end up replacing Bowie's name as the title for his second album upon its re-release in 1972. The eventually titular single marks the first hit Bowie ever created, reaching number 5 in the UK upon initial release. The song's initial popularity was thanks in part to its release being less than a week before the Apollo 11 moon landing. The BBC used Bowie's single as part of the background music for their coverage of the event. Quote, "In England, it was always presumed that it was written about the space landing, because it kind of came to prominence around the same time. But it actually wasn't. It was written because of going to see the film 2001, which I found amazing. I was out of my gourd anyway. I was very stoned when I went to see it, several times, and it was really a revelation to me. It got the song flowing. It was picked up by the British television and used as the background music for the landing itself. I'm sure they really weren't listening to the lyric at all. It wasn't a pleasant thing to juxtapose against a moon landing," said Bowie. The BBC appearance was just one of a series of arbitrary decisions by executives that led to the creation and success of Bowie's signature space song. The first arbitrary decision came from Bowie's manager, Kenneth Pitt, who decided to make a film to promote David Bowie to the world. Love You Till Tuesday, named after one of the songs off Bowie's debut album, didn't have any new Bowie music, and so Pitt requested that Bowie get on it. The singer-songwriter obliged, and although the movie wouldn't see a release until 1984, somehow Mercury Records A&R man Calvin Mark Lee got wind of this song and loved it. However, Mercury Records head Lou Reisner wanted nothing to do with Bowie. That didn't stop Lee from funding a demo session anyway. Quote, "We had to do it all behind Lou's back, but it was such a good record," said Lee. The next obstacle was getting a producer behind the project. Beatles producer George Martin turned the project down, and even Tony Visconti, Bowie's #1 guy, who was already committed to producing the rest of the album, refused to produce this track because he thought it was just a novelty song. Visconti passed the buck down to first-time producer Gus Dudgeon, who would later go on to work closely with Elton John and other artists. Quote, "In those days, a gimmick was a big deal, and people who had gimmicks were taken more seriously than those who hadn't. Bowie's was that he'd written a song about being in space at a time when the first US moonshot was about to take place. I listened to the demo and thought it was incredible. I couldn't believe that Tony didn't want to do it," said Dudgeon. Bowie and his one-time producer put everything they had into what would become the definitive version of this song. Dudgeon brought in an orchestra of 8 violins, 2 violas, 2 cellos, 2 arco basses, and 2 flutes led by Paul Buckmaster, while Bowie brought a mellotron and a stylophone into the mix.
Of course he did.
The end result speaks for itself. Of course, if not for Bowie's explosive success in 1972, this proto-prog rock space single might have been just a footnote in history. Thanks to Ziggy Mania, the song was re-released in 1972, hitting #1 on the US charts, Bowie's first song to do so, and a re-release in 1975 brought the track to #1 in the UK. Without the Ziggy boost, it's hard to say whether we ever would have heard from Bowie or Major Tom again. That's right. We're talking David Bowie's Space Oddity on Bowie Me.
This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way.
That's right, it's Bowie Me, the only podcast that compares famous Bowie songs to their many cover versions to find out which one is feeling very still. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my most peculiar co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Woo! What's going on?
Oh, what is going on? I'm turning my volume up slightly so I can hear things better. And then, not my volume on my track, but my output volume.
Your output volume.
And then, what is going on? I don't know, man. It's January. It's a slow month. Well, Yeah, it is still January.
It is still January. This is the end of January as far
January.
as any listeners are concerned.
Yeah, obviously we're recording this before you're listening to it, just because that's how this has to work.
It is how recorded things work, folks.
But this is, yes, it's still January in our reality. Just because, I don't know, before we were doing some like group recordings and out of order recordings, so I was like, are they gonna hear it at the right time?
Yeah, you can get lost in the pre-recording, like,
Yeah.
we were in 2025 when we started doing this month. Now we're in 2026, still doing it.
Exactly.
And then we're also doing some of next month. It's like you just kind of get lost in the sauce.
Yeah, and then ultimately, like, does it actually matter because people know that recordings happen in the past?
Yeah. But there is
yeah.
something to be said for, I like it when a recording feels fresh, you know?
It is nice, and it's always strange, not bad necessarily, but a little jarring when someone references like a current event on a podcast. They're like, oh, this thing just happened. You're like, did they record this like 2 months ago? What?
Yeah, like,
Even
what
though, like, we're not talking about news. We're talking about a song that came out in 1969.
Not a current events podcast.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter that much. But anyway, just trying to keep my dates straight.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's January. January is the weird, slow month of the year. The weirdest and slowest. And the only reason February is not that is because it's literally shorter.
Yeah, that's
100%
true. We do so much like winter celebration in December, which is really just the tip of winter.
Yeah, well, I mean, our winter, at least in Calgary, certainly yours too, to a degree, but it's milder out in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
I now realize I'm saying our locations, which we do all the time, so it's actually not a big deal.
Yeah, Alex.
People know our cities. People know our cities.
The listenership is mostly Americans.
Right.
I barely, nobody's coming for you.
Okay.
It's okay that people know what city we're in.
Just making sure I'm not giving away too much information.
Check the episode description. I will list Alex's postal code, nothing else.
Yes. What was I saying? Right, our winter lasts so long, and yeah, we haven't done celebrations in a while.
No, because we do. You got your New Year's and your Christmas right off the bat, basically. And then, like, Valentine's Day, not really a holiday or a celebration.
Not a huge one.
Even March, you get St. Patrick's Day. Like,
yeah, some people, that's big for some people. I don't want to say the Irish. I just want to say people who drink a lot, I guess.
Yes.
But maybe the Irish. I don't know.
Which might not be Irish people.
Yeah, which is, I've growing up, I did not know a lot of people I knew were specifically Irish, but I did know a lot of people who really partied on St. Patrick's Day, so hey, there you go.
Right. That's when people really start pulling out the, like, I'm an 8th Irish on my mother's side, so I'm allowed to get shit-faced. You're like, you don't have to make excuses, man.
You could just do it.
You can just do it.
You can dye alcohol green or whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. I've had a green beer on St. Patrick's Day. I don't think I have any Irish. I might. I'm like real European mutt, just whoever was fucking, and then eventually I come out.
Right. Yeah, it's tough to know sometimes, especially with a lot of the like immigration and stuff to the new world. I guess it's just like settlers and all that, but
yeah, settlers, colonists, the like.
Yeah. Even like on my dad's side, my family identified as like German, but I know they were in Russia like before they immigrated from Europe entirely. So like they were like identified ethnically as German, but like I'm sure there was a lot going on there in terms of genetics.
Yeah, that's interesting. You could really change history depending on like back then when record keeping of that stuff was less tight.
Yeah, and just didn't know stuff. I also know I have some fairly anti-Semitic ancestors. Fortunately, they were not in Europe for the big one, but I suspect like there could very easily just be like Jewish ancestry in there as well that they just didn't know about. So like,
oh yeah. We went to Catholic school together, and I think a lot of people were still surprised that you're not Jewish. So
it was just because I had curly hair and the OC was on, so people were like, "You kind of look like that Cohen kid."
Oh, like Adam Brody. Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I don't know."
Like, he's Jewish, so could you.
Okay,
well, maybe. But we
Anyway,
can't do this,
we're,
Alex.
yeah, we're
We
getting
can't-
off topic. We got to
We're
talk about
far
David
off
Bowie.
topic. There's 4 David Bowie music videos to talk
You're right.
about.
We got to talk
This is
about this
the
song.
biggest fucking. This is the biggest. It's like every Bowie song is the biggest Bowie song.
I
but
know. But
this one is very huge.
It's like the first. It's not the first Bowie song, but it's the first like actual hit.
Mhm.
And not only that, it really like established this idea of David Bowie as like the science fiction guy,
Mhm.
which was it was true certainly at the time, and like even going into going into Ziggy Stardust, of course, it's about like aliens and all that. Like it's very classic sci-fi. And then he kind of, I think, tries to move away from it, but it's still there, like you still get the man who fell to Earth. He plays an alien,
Yeah.
right? So like it doesn't go away, really. The sci-fi thing is always a little bit associated with him.
Yeah, I mean, even like Diamond Dogs is like technically like a sci-fi dystopia.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't have to be aliens.
We talked about the weird like pornography dystopia that is Driving
Right.
Saturday
Yeah.
last week.
That's true. Even Aladdin Sane, as much as I'm thinking of it like, it's just like a rock star who has problems. Like, no, there's still like the science fiction aspect to it. So there's so much of that in Bowie songs. I'm even thinking of like the Savior Machine, off of the Man Who Sold the World. It's like a weird future where like there's a computer or something that makes everyone's decisions for them, kind of thing. Like, yeah, all that kind of, like, there's so much science fiction influence in David Bowie's music and stuff.
Yeah, and this is really the like peak first example of that. Right around the time of like it's kind of space fever. People are going
that's
crazy
true.
for space in this time. We, like you said, 2001: A Space Odyssey, very obviously an influence on this
Mhm.
title alone. And that's what he talks about. They claim another influence was the Apollo 8 Earthrise photograph, which was published in January of 1969.
Okay.
Somebody claims that it was also like this is a quote unquote like a Bee Gees type song.
Yeah, I don't know the Bee Gees well enough, right? Like I could like maybe sure. But I remember like we read that Mark Spitz
Mhm.
biography that we like to reference. The autoclave's done. And he basically said this song was almost like a riff on like Simon and Garfunkel, right?
Mm.
Because it is, in theory at least, a like folk duet. It's just
Right.
kind of got a little more like psychedelic somewhere in the mix. But I remember the story is basically Bowie really liked bookends. And then him and his friend, whose name I always forget, but I have written down here somewhere.
John Christopher Hutchinson.
Yeah, Hutch. The guy who also supposedly is the guy who punched him and gave him his wonky eye.
Oh yeah.
That's, I believe, what I've read, but I didn't confirm that.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, I
yeah.
actually don't know who gave him the eye.
Yeah, I thought that's what was said in again the
In that
Mark Spitz
biography,
book.
Bowie.
But yeah, so it's kind of like it starts as that, like a duet, and that makes sense because you have two parts, but it becomes a solo Bowie thing. It's very interesting that it sort of started like that, but the version we know is not that at all. Like he doesn't do really a duet.
So I wonder if when people are saying, "Oh, it's Bee Gees," "Oh, it's Simon and Garfunkel," that is more a reference to the like "Love You Till Tuesday" like sort of demo version.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing about the Bee Gees is like the Bee Gees like they've been around for a while before Saturday Night Fever, which is really, I know the Saturday Night Fever songs, and then the song Massachusetts because it was on an old record I have. But like that's the only old Bee Gees I know.
Oh yeah, I have like a best of Bee Gees that is pre Saturday Night Fever, so pre Bee Gees like disco era.
Okay.
And it like you don't know like I started a joke.
No,
I started a joke.
No, I only know Massachusetts.
Okay, well, that's a semi-famous one. It's one of the best of the Bee Gees. Yeah, they're more folk poppy. They're very different, almost like Fleetwood Mac, who has a shift in sound from their initial blues rock roots to then the more classic rock, I guess, of Fleetwood Mac with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah, It's quite fascinating when bands have eras like that. In any case, the point is, I don't know what the Bee Gees connection is really. It doesn't sound like a Bee Gees song to me.
I think it must be this sort of folkier Bee Gees style
Yeah.
that they're tuning. Because
It's
when
gotta
you
be.
listen to that "Love You Till Tuesday" version, we can't talk too much about it,
Yeah.
but it does sound a little more by the book, like it compared to the version we get on the album,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, this song is a masterpiece.
Yeah, and like a total classic, and we've been hearing it for years and years, but like there's a reason this one like stuck. It's interesting that like as much as this was a hit, he was kind of a one-hit wonder for a while, but like this could have been his one hit.
Yeah, there was a real threat of him being just like some novelty artist. So he'd be like, hey, remember that guy who did that song about a lost spaceman? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, let's talk about anything else. So yeah, it's a real weird thing that there is this like sliding doors that if Ziggy Stardust doesn't take off, if Bowie runs out of money and can't keep doing it, like
Yeah,
this
it's
might have
very
been the end.
possible, and needs to just go be an insurance salesman or whatever.
Yeah.
Or just a mime maybe.
Yeah, it goes back to being like Puro the turquoise or whatever.
Yeah. Bowie. What the other thing I like half remember hearing about this song and forgot to confirm is that there was like some like alleged controversy around the Top of the Pops appearance, that like maybe it was somewhat manufactured and someone may have been paid off to get it like higher up the charts than it was maybe otherwise
Okay, a
would have
little
gone.
bit of that payola.
Yeah, and like obviously I don't know who did what, and I'm sure there's lots of politics involved, but I think the song's good enough to stand on its own personally. And
I
maybe it's
do
just because I've
think-
always like known it and heard it so many times, but it seems like a really strong song.
Yeah, I've never even thought of it as a novelty song until it was like contextualized for me this week. And it's like, yeah, people were talking about space all the fucking time. Like there's all these like, it lists like 3 others. The one I knew was In the Year 2525, which is like a futurist space song.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, I guess like in the late 60s, people were like, we're going to fucking space, man.
Yeah, it was like the space race was coming to a head, right? Like the space stuff, and it was like, there were updates more or less constantly, of like, oh, the Russians are doing this, oh, the Americans are doing this, and like Sputnik
Right.
happened, and I don't remember the year of that, but yeah, there's like all these big events that are all related around space. So it's, I guess, not a surprise, but it's weird to think about because we don't do that as much anymore, It's not like they finally made it to the moon, and like this is perfect timing, right? So it's just a few months before it legitimately happened, right? Before the moon landing happened. And I do think it's interesting that the song is like a bit ambiguous about like how successful the mission was. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
But we'll
Bowie's
get
got a
into that.
quote about that. Let me see if I can find it here. I think he called it like space fever or something in the quote. Yes, here we go. He says the publicity image of a spaceman at work is of an automaton rather than a human being. My Major Tom is nothing if not a human being. It came from a feeling of sadness about this aspect of the space thing. It has been dehumanized. So I wrote a song farce about it to try and relate science and human emotion. I suppose it's an antidote to space fever, really, says Bowie. So there's all this space fever going around. People are crazy about the space race. And Bowie, half inspired by getting high as fuck and watching 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Yeah.
and half being contrarian to everybody's love of space, builds this song. So it is a very weird slot. And like he says in that quote I read earlier, he's like, really shouldn't be playing this for a space launch. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like it is not a happy ending necessarily for our hero.
no, it's I mean, we find out years later that he alive and he's just a drug addict. Major Tom's a junkie, but
Yeah, but I mean the song leaves it in like, I guess I'd say ambiguous, but it seems almost like the intention was, he floats off and is never heard from again.
yeah, as far as we understand of space, you
Yeah.
can't just stay out there.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting time, and like it hit at the right time. So there was definitely that like timing aspect to it. It was lucky, but also it was tapping into like a zeitgeist of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not the only space sci-fi song from the era, and it also like there's a reason it survived until now,
Yeah.
because there were others, and this one just floated to the top like a rocket, which doesn't really float, but
Like a rocket, man.
Yeah,
the other like there's so many weirdo facts about this. I mean, I'm just gonna kind of go through them quick. This is one of those records that has like every single like successful song cliche. Rick Wakeman comes in to play the mellotron, does it in 2 takes.
Yeah.
We've got like, Herbie Flowers just says that it was he says the first time I played with Bowie was on the session for Space Oddity. He says, "Dear Gus Dudgeon was quaking in his boots. It might have been the first thing he ever produced." What does he say? I thought this was the one about him getting chills. No, he's just talking about this sort of like. So apparently Rick Wakeman had to go out and buy that stylophone for 7 shillings from like a toy shop.
He
'cause it
bought
was
the
a toy.
stylophone.
Yeah. There's also a quote from like Mark Bolan where he essentially encourages Bowie to use the stylophone. He's like, "You love that kind of shit. Just put it on the record." And he's like, "Okay, yeah." It's all of these like different like, wow, it's the most incredible thing put together like stories, and in a lot of ways it is the result of this. And apparently they storyboarded it, like Gus Dudgeon and Bowie, like they like really plotted it out like it was a story. And all these different beats that come in the music and etc. Like they were both like really all in on this, which is crazy because Gus Dudgeon had never produced before.
Yeah, I guess it's just that like kind of like neophyte energy of like you really want to like you have something to prove.
Yeah,
You know, you want to like work as hard as possible. And I know it happens a lot with people where, you know, you kind of settle into a creative groove and you like know your processes, but like because you like kind of know it works. And that works to various degrees, but yeah, that's definitely feels like they're like, hey, we got to figure this out because we don't have a path to follow.
Yeah, and the other side of that like novice energy is like doing things that weren't maybe like a professional wouldn't do, things that are a little more risky.
Or kind of
Rick
non-conventional.
Wakeman says of them using the mellotron, he's like, I don't think anyone else at that particular time would have heard mellotron on that piece where it came in. There would have been other things more obvious to do. It was clever. So there's like a lot of just lightning in a bottle that happens in this song.
Yeah, especially now because I'm like, well, obviously your lighty flighty space thing. Yeah, you're gonna bring the flute mellotron in. Like, what else would you do?
Yeah, how could you not?
Now it seems obvious, but back then it's like we thought it would be a little weird, and it's like I guess it was, but. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of bumping my mic here.
Yeah, keep just do a little speed bag session on it, and we'll keep moving.
Sorry. Okay.
But yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention is the like accidental noise that becomes a big part. Apparently, the guitarist Mick Wayne started tuning like immediately after a take.
Oh.
And then Gus Dudgeon hears that and is like, "Whoa, that sounds freaky as shit. Do that again for the actual take."
So as in like play the note and like then tune kind of thing?
And then tune it. If I was to, because they don't say where it is, my guess would be it's in the space launch section. Like
yeah,
right after
there's
the countdown.
a lot of noise in there.
Yeah, and a lot of it's that kind of like a quick like adjustment in frequency that I could see a tuning knob doing.
Mm-hmm. That does make sense.
But yeah, I've known this song for as long as time has existed. One of the first songs I downloaded legally from LimeWire.
Oh.
And this is so another thing about this album is that it was released in stereo and mono stereo for like commercial enterprises, radio stations, and that, and mono for consumers, which was they had to push for that to get it in stereo.
Oh.
And what that meant was years later, I thought. Because what was actually happening is I had 2 computer speakers and one of them had faulty wiring in it, so it wasn't playing all the time. And so what happened is I would play this song and I would only hear the harmony tracks from Bowie.
Ooh.
But I thought because the speakers had been working prior and I had heard the song with both voices, that I had been hacked and this was a virus. And so I remember spending at least one night going through like 10 different versions of Space Oddity that I was downloading off of LimeWire and be like, oh no, they're all hacked.
They're
dude.
all hacked. This must be the porn I keep hearing about.
Yeah, exactly.
That is very funny. It's funny how stressful some slight, like on computers back then, it was like something could go wrong and you're like something very small is wrong. I don't understand enough about computers to know what it could be.
Yeah, but I have to
I've
assume
been hacked.
the worst. I've been hacked.
I'm actively being hacked.
they fucking tapped the hard line, man.
Gotta
They're in my
fight back.
mainframe.
That's funny.
But that's my story about this. We got to crack into these
We
lyrics.
do. We got to talk about some lyrics.
Which are luckily like fairly straightforward.
Yeah, it's the story, right? It's the story
It's-
song.
Yeah, largely descriptive. So we start ground control to Major Tom, ground control to Major Tom, take your protein pills and put your helmet on. And then we get the countdown in here as well. 10, ground control to Major Tom, 9, 8, 7, 6. Commencing countdown, engines on, 4, 3, 2, 1, check ignition, and may God's love be with you.
Yeah, I mean, really cool section. I don't know exactly if there's anything to compare it to, but like the idea of having like one, like first you establish your, like the whole thing is like, I'm like talking to you over the radio, right? Like with the two characters, ground control and Major Tom.
Mhm.
You get introduced to your sci-fi concepts, your protein pills,
Yes.
the idea of like all your food is just little capsules and we don't need to have like steaks and stuff on the spaceship so it doesn't take up as much space.
Yeah.
And then getting into the countdown of like the countdown is happening in the background as like the conversation continues and like it describes what's happening as you can hear that thing happening. It's pretty cool, a way to like get into the story.
Yeah, it's great
yeah.
like theater. We get a lot of details without expressly saying like there is a rocket launch happening.
Yeah,
we just go
exactly.
through the steps of a rocket launch. We establish our two characters and their form of communication, which is always like saying who they are and who they're speaking to, that's space stuff, dude. They do that in space.
Yeah, because you gotta confirm receipt of message or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool, and it's like it's very like anticipatory because in a launch, it's a lot of like we gotta scramble to get everything ready, and then it gets to the countdown, and then you're just like sitting there, you're waiting, and you literally know when it's gonna happen, but there's like so much riding on just that moment. So yeah, it's a cool way to recreate that feeling.
Yeah, and even the send off, may God's love be with you. It's okay, good luck, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is right before Apollo 11. Like we already know, obviously we know how dangerous rockets are in spaces and stuff, but like
Right.
Apollo 1 happened, everyone died. Like it's
Yeah.
these tragedies happen. This is, before the various shuttle disasters, but like we know it's dangerous. So it's we established that.
Yeah, it's really good at being like it feels lived, even though like somebody will tell you like, oh, this is not how they would do. Like, because even the name ground control is apparently incorrect. It should be like a mission control, I believe.
Yeah. This
Something
is like
that,
the
but like
British version.
yeah. But it's a great startup, and of course it plays. It's like an intro scene. It's very cinematic. Bowie had some quote about it. He's like, all the music I was making was really stuff that was trying to steer me towards doing like musical plays and things like that. It's like, okay, you can see that here. This is a scene, and then we get a musical transition, and then boom, it's verse 1. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today.
Yeah, so is the idea that he's now blasted off, obviously. So like once we get to verse 1, launch is a success. We're in space.
Yes.
And he's leaving the spaceship just like for fun.
Yeah, like immediately. What is this mission?
He's like, I'm just gonna look out at things. I mean, obviously I'm floating in a most peculiar way line. That's quite a line, and I don't know why. It just sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's
Like-
just like a dude describing his experience and
Yeah.
using some choice words for it. Most
And, like,
peculiar.
I don't know why that line has always kind of resonated, but it also, like, the Adam Sandler Mr. Deeds movie, they like sing this song
Yeah.
in it, and he like really, when he sings that line, he really like emphasizes and like does it kind of in the Bowie way, the like most peculiar way. Like,
peculiar way.
I don't know, I just always remember that.
It's
Seems like,
it's
yeah,
a good line.
delivery.
It's quite a delivery. Yeah, and it's this sort of like thoughtful scientist thing. He's like, I'm floating and it's weird, dog. Like,
yeah, he's just observing. He's
it's
a very
not bad,
observant.
it's not
yeah.
good, it's just strange.
Yeah, it's also our first introduction to Major Tom at all, right?
That's his
like,
first dialogue.
This is
yeah.
where he starts talking, and like you said, he's very observant,
Mhm.
and his thing as we'll find out very, very soon, is basically he's just kind of an introspective guy. Which, I mean, it's kind of interesting and like tied in with the things people have said about going to space and seeing the Earth from space. Like it seems for a lot of people to be a very introspective experience.
Yes.
Kind of people sort of almost change sometimes because of the perspective, which is interesting. But also, like, you kind of get that in the sense that he's just like sitting up there being introspective.
Yeah, and like biographers always talk about how this song is maybe, or they strongly imply that it's based on Bowie feeling sort of isolated and lonely in this time.
Right.
Part of that being that I believe his girlfriend at the time, Hermione, broke up with him.
Yes, it would have been. I mean, Letter to Hermione is
From the same album.
on the same album. Yeah.
Yeah, and so also him just feeling, because he's this unsuccessful musician, like he's out there struggling and not succeeding pretty much every day. So he feels this isolation, this loneliness, and that's sort of portrayed in Major Tom, who's like literally isolated in space. And as we find out, like he basically loses connection with Earth and is just like, well, I'm just gonna keep going. He's like, I'm not gonna go back to Earth.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's just in terms of like the characters, if he is in fact the Major Tom character, like if you think of like Ground Control versus just like record people in the studio, people who own venue, the people that you would interact with as a musician that are like maybe telling you that you're doing great and everybody loves you, but like you're not seeing that.
Yeah.
You're not really getting, like, your career isn't going the way you expect. Then it does seem like, yeah, there's this temptation to just kind of, or maybe not temptation, but like feeling that you need to just keep like moving and going, and no matter, doesn't, like, you don't necessarily need to listen to what they're saying because it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, like
Yeah.
like in this, in verse 1, it's very much like, wow, everything's so great, Tom, we love this, but then
Yeah,
it kind of doesn't
to
go
go
that way.
over those lines quickly. You've really made the grade is
Yeah.
to say you did it.
Yeah.
Apparently made the grade means to like do the bare minimum, but like chucking really on there means like, yeah, you really fucking, you didn't die. And
Yeah, like
in a
good
shuttle
work.
launch.
You're doing a great job.
You're doing great. The papers want to know whose shirts you wear. I always thought this was a reference to like fashion, literally, like what brand are you wearing? But
Yeah.
apparently it's in reference to soccer or footy, as they would call it.
Oh, interesting.
Who's your guys?
thought
Who's
of
your
that.
sports team?
Right. Who do
Yeah.
you support? But it's kind of, it's like irrelevant, right? It's like gossip column
Yeah.
stuff.
We just launched our ass into space. Everybody wants to know about some bullshit.
Right. And then I guess there you really get the highlighting of like, we got this introspective guy, like, we're a speck in the universe or whatever kind of thing, blue marble, et cetera, et cetera. And people are like, what football team do you support? And he's like, who fucking cares, man?
Yeah. And like you said, that shift in perspective
Yeah.
when you leave Earth and see it from outer space, I was like, we're seeing that happen essentially in real time to Major Tom.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does, because you mentioned that like sort of detaching, that desire to just keep moving forward, which is something Bowie does bring up more clearly in Changes on Hunky Dory.
Oh, yeah,
where he's
that's
like,
true.
Where he's like, people always tell me what I'm like, but I'm much too fast to even know what they're talking about. Like by the time the feedback of my last project hits me, I'm already on the next thing. So it's like, it's meaningless to me. So another form of this detachment. He's like, nobody's keeping up with me.
Yeah, he's flying through space.
He's flying through space. And really what he's doing is, for here, am I sitting in
Yeah.
a tin can far above the world? Planet Earth is blue. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this part really highlights that idea of like, we're so small in the universe, which is something that gets brought up a lot again when talking about like being in space and looking down on Earth.
Yeah, that very like humbling or like very perspective changing experience. Of being
Yeah.
like, well, it's all just in this tiny, tiny speck.
Yeah, and it's so, I mean, yeah, planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. It does feel like it's kind of referencing, I don't remember the exact quote, but just the idea of like, yeah, the blue marble, like, yeah, all the stuff we've been
Yeah.
talking about. And I feel like there is a quote, but I can't remember it, so I'm not even going to attempt.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, and like, and for your depressive imagery, you have planet Earth is blue, and this powerlessness that comes from the statement, "There's nothing I can do." So it's like,
Right.
from the detachment perspective, he's like, I have no impact on that world, and it's sad.
Yeah. And then contrasting that with like the things that people say to him, it's like, oh, we're doomed almost.
Yeah,
But not really. It's not really saying that. Okay, so I have heard this as a misattributed quote, but
Mhm.
the quote is like, the Earth was blue and there was no God. Like, I went to space and that's what happened, and it's attributed to Yuri Gagarin.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I think
the
I have
Russian
heard that he
astronaut.
didn't actually say that, but I don't know who said it, if anyone said it.
Right.
But it's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, there's an aspect feeling of like aloneness and powerlessness. So it's like almost a version of that.
Yeah, and even describing his spaceship as a tin can, there's a real fragility here.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm up here trapped in a little tiny thing far above Earth, and I just like, I have
Yeah.
no impact, I have no power.
yeah. It's very, it just like diminishes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then we find a sort of zen or a comfort in that in verse 2. He says, though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very still. And I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows.
She knows. Yeah, that's an interesting part because it gets listed as a verse here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say it's not necessarily, but it really feels like a continuation of the last section of because the whole "for here am I sitting in a tin can" section feels almost like this like soliloquy. Like he does not necessarily talking to ground control about this. It feels like this is the spotlight moment, if we're talking about a stage musical or something.
Right. Well, certainly the last line I feel is delivered to.
That's true. He does say, "Tell my wife I love her very much," and then they respond.
They respond. Yeah, the only moment that we don't have a ground control to Major Tom before establishing who's saying what is in this verse. We
Right.
crack off and we just assume it's Major Tom based on the context, and then the delivery of the line she knows, and also the line itself would be very strange for him to say, "Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows."
Yeah, "Tell my wife I love her very much. This is ground control to Major Tom. She knows."
She knows that, dude.
Over. Yeah, so I guess it's like none of it's really. He's not alone because they're always listening in, but it just has this feeling of him being alone, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he's saying crazy shit. He thinks his spaceship knows which way to go.
Yeah, which is interesting because, like, kind of, yeah, like, we make the spaceships control themselves a bit.
That's true, yeah.
To a degree. You don't have to like fly it with a steering wheel or like a flight stick,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think most of the time.
No, certainly. Maybe
yeah.
there's like some manual override you can do, but
Yeah, at
generally
times.
it's all like
But, yeah.
programmed.
But yeah, that is also and also like an admission of like powerlessness. You know?
Mhm. But also
Um,
like acceptance.
Yeah.
Because he says he's feeling very still, and like even the way this verse is delivered, there is a sense of him, and I'm drawing on loosely what I know about 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I've never seen, but it is like a very psychedelic movie in nature. We have this element of Major Tom sort of transcending his earthly life to
Right.
become a true spaceman.
Right.
And so yeah, this stillness there. He's like, I'm feeling this intense speed. Like I'm past 100,000 miles. I'm just in orbit. But there's this sense of calm, and he's like, he's just like, the spaceship knows what to do. So you know what? I'm not coming back to Earth. Obviously, give my regards to my wife.
Right.
See ya.
Oh, this is his goodbye thing. Okay. Yeah, I
Mhm.
guess I never really thought of it more as like a malfunction, but yeah, I never really read it as like he's like, I'm in space and I need to explore or whatever. So he flies away and they're like, "Hey Tom, something's wrong. You seem to be flying away from us."
Yeah. So I
don't know
think
why
there
never listened
is.
to it like that.
We're meant to like kind of be. We share ground control's perspective because we are
Right.
people of Earth. And so when the bridge hits ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you? We take that as like a death because that's what we understand. But that second verse or that continuation of the Major Tom soliloquy
Yeah.
has such a feeling of calm around it that it doesn't seem like Major Tom is worried about his spaceship or not coming back to Earth.
Yeah, and I mean the shift in the line from far above the world to far above the moon, like
That's right.
he's so much further away now.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
moon's
so we do
really
get,
far away.
and I think I must have known that, but I have forgotten about it and didn't clock it until I read the lyrics again this week. I was like, oh yeah, the choruses do change slightly.
Yeah, just a little bit because he's flying away.
And he's outside of his ship at this point as well.
Yeah, well, he's still floating around.
I guess you could float around inside of it.
Yeah, so is he floating around, or is he floating around in that like the ship is moving and he's on the outside and he's like orbiting it basically?
Yeah. In the first one,
I don't
he's
know.
sitting in it. He's very firmly situated inside of it.
Right. And it's a little tough to know because it is a science fiction story. Is there supposed to be like artificial gravity inside kind of thing? And like, so he wouldn't float if he was inside? Because the way he says it in the first one is like, I'm stepping through the door and now I'm floating. But it's like, you weren't floating before?
Right.
You were in space, in a spaceship. And that's typically what people do up there.
Yeah,
So I don't
some inconsistencies that may be due to just like a dude who is very much not an astronaut or like
Yeah.
a space scientist
Yeah.
writing about
It's
space.
just, I guess the only thing is like, it's tough to know how common all that knowledge would be for people. Like, would people be thinking of like a man in a spaceship floating because that's how people are in spaceships? Or would they be like, well, obviously this is science fiction, so we don't have to worry about that. So I don't know how much is real and how much is sci-fi or realistic, I should say.
Right. Yeah. It's but to say that chorus out loud just so everybody knows it if
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not looking at a
Good
sheet.
idea.
Here am I floating around my tin can far above the moon. Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. And then it's all instrumentals from there. That's kind of our last take. All we really get is this very open-ended, like, boom, Major Tom is in space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the kind of ambiguous ending.
Mm-hmm.
Though later we learn he does at some point turn around and come back to Earth, whether that is the disaster, like, you know, the circuit gets fixed and he's able to return, or
Yeah, almost like
chooses
a
to come back.
Sirens of Titan situation, wherein some man had to go to a great distance to get him like a small repair part,
Right.
and then that was able to fix it. Or if it's just like, yeah, through the nature of drifting in space, he somehow U-turned and drifted back.
He was like, that's enough. I'm running out of protein pills, so I better go back to Earth.
And drugs, I guess, because I'm
Yeah.
a junkie.
Yeah.
But that's the song. Yeah, this sort of melancholic, if not downright tragic, space launch.
Yeah. And it did seem like, at least at the time, there was some intention of like, there's no resolution to this story. He just decided to come back to it and was like, what would, you know, what would it be like if he came back? Basically.
Yeah, well, because naturally, and we've talked about Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah, we did.
That's
while ago.
David Bowie also that's his getting clean era, like, and when he's actually starting to get clean and not just doing a bunch of drugs in Germany with Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
And so the bringing in Major Tom there is like to acknowledge that Major Tom in 1969 was a reflection of himself, and so then he's returning to that character to again reflect on himself in a different way.
Major Tom coming back down to Earth could just be David Bowie getting clean, right?
Yeah, David Bowie quits drugs. Like it's pretty simple there. But what's not simple is the composition of this song. At least the version that actually comes to pass on David Bowie.
Yeah. We can't go through all of them, but the one that comes out, which is all David Bowie. As I mentioned, I've heard it was supposed to be a duet, but like Hutch couldn't make it that day. Like he was busy, but they had the studio time. So Bowie was like, I guess I'll do both parts.
Oh, like
Now-
a real, who else does that? That was, you got what I need.
Oh,
To say he's just a friend. Biz Markie.
Yeah, Biz Markie.
Just a friend.
Yeah,
who
is
none
that
of his
how true is
backing
that?
people
I
showed
don't
up.
know, because it sounds like they did a ton of planning work. So how much of that was in the studio, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because the quote from
yeah.
Dudgeon is like, we knew exactly the fucking sound we wanted.
Yeah,
and we went in
exactly.
there and like got it.
I've just for some reason thought I heard that anecdote. I don't have that anywhere though. I can't source that.
It didn't come up in my research.
So yeah, I
So,
will make that
yeah.
claim, but I have heard that. But I do like there is a duet version of this in Love You Till Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So it is a duet sometimes. It's just not ultimately.
And I mean, that's not surprising. We have two characters literally built into the song lyrics, Ground Control and Major Tom.
I love how well, we'll talk about the video later. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll get in on that. 'Cause that Love You Till Tuesday video is actually very fun.
Yeah. All right. So sounds. Yeah, lots of sounds in this one. It is music after all.
Yes, the chord progression on acoustic guitar is what we start with. Allegedly, I read a quote that said that Bowie ripped it from Jimmy Page. Like Jimmy
Okay.
Page taught it to him during some other studio session they were at, and he's like, "Oh, that's quite good."
It's like, oh, nice. Yeah. All right, fair enough. I mean, it's good. It's just a like strummed chord progression,
Yeah,
though.
it's ding,
Like-
ding. Yeah, it's hardly something you could like copyright or claim to own. but
Exactly.
That's essentially where he heard it.
Oh, I mean, yeah, fair enough. And it's good, you know? They add some echo to it, right? It feels very like there's a lot of that like isolated feeling in this song, and it starts with it right there, you know, with
Mhm.
this just single strumming acoustic guitar. And Bowie's kind of known for his acoustic 12 string at this time. I say
Right.
known for, in retrospect, known for, because that's
Yeah, it's
what he did then. But
Mhm.
he does it a lot, especially on this second album, this Space Oddity / David Bowie 2 album.
yes. And so we get that. We get, I believe, we get guitar harmonics is I believe what the kind of like star element is. That boom.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And some drum rolls in here. It's
Yeah.
all very like
Almost like marching drums, like a
Yeah.
snare.
yeah, he does like a lot of work on the snare and then just like some quick rolls on it. It's very like nothing is locking you in necessarily. I guess the acoustic guitar is your backbone right now. And it's so like airy and spacey that we're in a zone in music that is not you don't hear often, certainly not in 1969.
Yeah, it just has this, I mean, isolated feel to it. And I'm also thinking, like, because of the drums, like, you know, you kind of get the, like, march, like the walk where the astronauts walk out to the rocket, right? It kind of, like, has that, like, slightly militaristic feel to it with the snare drum.
Yes.
And, like, yeah, there would be that time of, like, you need to walk out to the rocket and get into the rocket. So you kind of have a bit of that.
Yeah, and it's like cinematic
Interesting.
in that sense where you're picturing it too. Because
Yeah.
it's really like, since it's not just doing like not like a literal marching pattern, it's doing these just like emphasis rolls really quick. You get
Mhm.
that kind of like boom, oh shit, we're walking to the fucking space shuttle. Shit's real. Like it's very dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a very cool, dramatic start.
We do get a bit of bass in the intro as well, but not enough for it to be interesting. This is an incredibly interesting bass line though. Once the rocket takes off,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. The next big note is probably the introduction of vocals in the stylophone.
Yeah, the stylophone, which I mean, stylophone doesn't do a whole lot. It basically just holds like a root note.
Yes, it's C and B, I believe.
Yeah, it's a very small change.
It's a very small change, but this is such a hit, and people are so happy that the stylophone is in there. That there is our previous guest and good friend of ours, Kaylin Lee, recently got me a big book, Bowie at 75,
Oh yeah,
which is like a photo book collection of all these big moments, and of course, Space Oddity is one of those. And Stylophone releases a magazine ad after this song hits. That's like, even David Bowie's doing it. The Stylophone.
he's cool, right? Stylophone is. I love the stylophone just because like it's such a small little thing that like is not, as far as I can tell, like that like versatile. You know?
It was marketed as a children's toy. Like it's immensely simple. But you can get like different stylophones now with a few more knobs and levers on them, as well as they've made one that's for like drum and bass, so you can like loop patterns on it.
Okay.
But yeah, it is like it was originally a child's toy.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just like you complete a circuit with a pen, basically. It's so simple and plays different notes. Anyway, that comes in here. You gifted me a stylophone a few years back.
I did.
as well. While we're talking about gifts,
The gift of the stylophone.
gift of the stylophone.
And you know why I gifted you that stylophone? Because I read that David Bowie used it in
Yeah.
Space Oddity.
Yeah. So that's why that's like why anyone knows what a stylophone is today.
Yeah. I think like gorillas have used the stylophone as well. Like other people have used it, but the like flagship example is Space Oddity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that. I know they used an omnichord. That's like where
that's
the
right.
beat from
A sample
yeah.
beat on the omnichord.
is literally it's just like a rhythm from that. It literally just does that on its own if you turn it on.
Yes, incredible. And they made their like, massive hit song Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz. That's that.
Anyway, that just does make me think. I know I'm getting off topic again. Fatima asked me this question yesterday. I thought it was very interesting. Do you think if like David Bowie hadn't existed back then, would David Bowie today be popular with the same music? And I think it's such an interesting question for someone like David Bowie or someone influential like David Bowie. Because it's like, what would music sound like? I can't even comprehend what music would be like if David Bowie hadn't happened. I feel like it would be different. Maybe that's putting too much on it. Maybe things would have developed very similarly. But I feel like he had quite an impact.
Yeah, and he was always like at the forefront of a lot of genres. Like a lot of like even hard rock bands and like punk bands would be like, oh, Aladdin Sane gave us like a bit of that sound that we wanted, and that goes on. And of course, Diamond Dogs as well. We talked about as being a big proto punk album. So yeah, what if David Bowie gets Yesterday? Is essentially
exactly. What if David Bowie gets Yesterday? And also, like, I mean, he didn't invent a lot of that stuff, but he popularized it. So would other things have been popularized? And what would music sound like today if it hadn't happened like that? It is an interesting question to talk about. We probably don't have time to get into it. The other thing I just wanted to add is like, it's interesting for David Bowie, maybe even like Springsteen or like Bob Dylan. These are also names that came up when we were talking about it.
Right.
Or obviously like the Beatles, right? Yesterday is the movie. But like if it happened to like Journey, I feel like no, they wouldn't be popular.
But
Quite
then
simply,
how does The Sopranos end?
I know. How does The Sopranos end? Do they play Don't Stop Believing in The Sopranos?
Yeah, it's the final scene.
Okay.
That's why it was popular essentially when you and I were
that's where
at high school.
That's what repopularized it? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that brought it back. So it's a very famous scene. The main guy leaves this diner. It fades to black, so you don't know if he gets killed or not at the end.
And then
Don't Stop Believing is playing. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that. I just thought it was like, some I feel like, it's real difficult to answer because like, what would anything be like if there was no Bob Dylan, right? Like he even just like interacted with, like showed the Beatles, hey, weed's fun or whatever. Like
that's right. Yeah.
You know,
so
like it changed so many things versus like, if we hadn't had Don't Stop Believing, it would have been fine. Like,
yeah, and so what the question really comes down to, what I think is interesting, is like if you lose the Journey discography, whatever,
right?
And like maybe the same for the Beatles, David Bowie, Bob Dylan, to a lesser extent, some of those works are a little more largely influential, but the influence of each musician on the musicians around them.
Yeah.
If David Bowie doesn't exist, what happens to Iggy Pop? What happens to Lou Reed?
Yeah.
What happens to Trent Reznor?
Yeah. A lot of things happen very differently. Like there's no raw power, like that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Transformer obviously to reference the artist you said, but also like glam rock doesn't go the same way. There's no all the young dudes.
Oh yeah, there's
right?
No like what happens to Mott the Hoople?
Exactly, what happens to Mott the Hoople?
Do they get big because now they've got space?
Yeah, like I guess T-Rex probably still happens. Maybe
does Mark Bolan live? Like
Mark
does
Bolan
he get it
still
together?
alive?
We
yeah.
can't do this though.
I know.
We cannot
There's
talk
way
about
too
this on the
much.
Space Oddity episode. If we need
We're
like a
already-
bonus episode one week, we'll maybe do that.
We'll do that, but we're already deep in this episode.
We're too deep. And we're just at the introduction of the stylophone.
know.
Bing, bing. Great noise on it. Sounds very space.
Yeah,
Like it
very
sounds
space,
like
very
it sounds
spacey, and
tech,
it's-
very space.
Yeah, you get that like a little bit of electronic stuff because it's like, okay, early space electronics, cool.
Yes.
Computers. Everything's computer is my point. in
Thank you,
space.
Donald Trump.
So yes. So now we also get Bowie comes in, he's singing. You get that like low somber tone, right?
Yes.
Control the major tone. Kind of monotone. And then he's like also harmonizing with himself, right?
Yes.
This is where we start to get that kind of stuff, which happens
This
a
is where
lot.
I panic as a child because I'm like, oh no,
There's only one Bowie. What
oh
happened?
Jesus, and he sounds so high.
Second Bowie got hacked. So yes, so now we have two Bowies. A very common Bowie thing. This is an early example of every Bowie thing, but it's definitely an early example of that. The lead part changes ears, I said. And I think so I used to wonder why sometimes like you get these non-overlapping vocal parts from the same vocalist would sound like a call and response, you know,
Right.
and like it would be impossible. But I think literally it's just you change the channel. You flip right and left channels, and then it sounds like a call and response because it's happening on either side of your body.
Yeah, because as we get that countdown, that's what's happening. Countdown's in the left channel. The lead vocals are in your right.
Yeah.
And the whole time, this sort of marching drum, sort of sparse marching, and all snare, like very unusual.
Yeah. We're preparing.
And the bass is starting to get into its
Oh
groove
my
here
gosh.
a little bit. It's doing some walk downs. It goes
Slides.
So I tried to learn this bass line a few years ago.
Okay.
Very hard to do. One, because it's so like improvisational in style, and two, it is a fretless bass.
Oh, so like the slides, you can really hear that like.
Yeah, so the looseness to this song, part of this, like what makes it sound like space is that there are no frets and that the guy is able to, Herbie Flowers, just able to fucking slide to these notes and really give you that fucking groovy future feel. It's so cool.
That is, yeah, it is very cool. I mean, even just I have a slide like timestamp of like 48 seconds. There's like a slide down there.
Yes.
Boom. Just like, oh.
Yeah,
Very
gorgeous.
nice.
You can't get a slide like that with frets. You can get it close, but you got to go fretless
I will
for that
scrunch
sound.
up my face about that. I mean, yeah, that's the countdown part.
Yeah, the next big thing is this kind of like cool psychedelic liftoff.
Yeah, it's almost like the Dolby sound, not quite.
Yeah,
You know,
a bit
like-
of that where it's like you're listening to this in surround
Or
sound,
no,
baby.
THX.
Like THX.
Sorry,
yeah.
not Dolby. They're like a bit of that where it's like kind of cacophonous, but it ends at a point. You get that bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
bum. I assume that's the guitar tuning thing.
I imagine that is exactly that sort of
'Cause,
pulsating.
yeah,
and
you just, like,
that
tighten
guitar
the
is really
string.
leading. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, it's the liftoff too. It's got a cool like liftoff sound to it.
Liftoff. Yeah, and this is where your orchestra comes in and they swell
True.
in. And so everything is going up, and then boom, big drum roll.
Yeah, I also like this is very like this more like psychedelic sound, you know? This is almost like Beatlesy, right? It's
Yes.
somewhat contemporary to like Abbey Road kind of thing. Well, I guess this is more like sonically like a Day in the Life or something like that. Like a Sgt. Pepper. But yeah, very like psychedelia inspired.
Yes, 100%. And it's, I mean, that's what you get when you watch Space Odyssey while smoking weed.
Even the drums are a little Ringo.
yeah.
This is more Beatlesy than I thought. You know, because
You know
they're
what?
slower. They're steady.
Yeah.
In a Ringo way. Anyway,
Right.
I didn't
And you know
think
what?
of
There
that
is
before.
some brass in that orchestra as well, I think. And
Yeah.
that I think it sounds a little, or if not, it's just all those strings lining up. But the layering of sounds like that is a very Beatlesy technique.
Yeah, and I mean the mellotron, of course, too, right? Like
Naturally, yeah.
that Beatles used a mellotron. They've got the like string sound on the mellotron here too. So
Mhm.
yeah, There's some. I mean, it's also like music in the '60s. So it's like, of course, it's Beatles, like in the
Yes,
late
of
'60s.
course.
But anyway, yeah, this
But
is
yeah.
also, we get into that verse, and like he starts like, you really hear the voices harmonizing because they're kind of both singing.
Yeah,
now.
and belting right outside. This is ground control to
Mhm.
Major Tom. And the drums are doing these kind of like big hits, like a crash, and then a couple notes between crash.
Yeah.
They're much like heavier in this sense. And the bass is going as nuts as you can go while being the smoothest sounding thing. It's like boom, ba-do-do-dum, dum, 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 dum.
It's so like surprisingly rewarding to just listen to the bass in songs that you didn't listen to before. So you're like, oh,
Well,
damn.
yeah. And of all the songs that
Something
will
going on.
reward you for that, this is
Yeah.
one of them. It is so, like, I had to learn it by ear because there's no tabs. And you have
Oh.
to, he does, like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot
you
going
can
on.
you can find an isolated track of it on YouTube. I think it was released as part of a collection, like an anniversary re-release. But you can hear just the bass track, and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything's firing off as we're in space.
Yeah, absolutely. This is also like the more conversational part, because like we're about to get into. Well, I mean, this is, sorry. Hang on, which part are we on? Let me.
We're on where you've really made the grade. The
Yeah,
even like the
okay.
strings are filling in that bottom. It is triumphant. You've made the grade. We
Yep.
fucking did it, dude. You're in space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like such like a soaring thing, right? With all those sounds. So like we're in space. Congratulations.
Mhm.
Tell us about your football associations.
Yeah.
And then we move into the chorus, and like the chorus is a bit of a switch up. Like we get, I mean,
I think
It's-
before we jump to that
oh,
chorus,
I'm
we
getting
should
ahead of us.
mention that Ground Control is multi-tracked. Major Tom is a single track, which I think is a great way to differentiate the two and add a little bit of vulnerability to Major Tom out there in space.
yeah, but it's not only like,
No, it starts. You're right,
It
because then once
starts,
he's floating
yeah.
in a most peculiar way, it does change.
yeah. So like he's stepping through the door, but then it doubles up. So I guess to start with, yeah, you get that, but it doesn't seem
Yes.
to hold that the whole time.
But then, yeah, that switch up is into the 4-here chorus, right? Which
yes,
we get a little more like, yeah, hi-hat on
yeah,
the drums there.
because we're high in the sky.
Yeah, and that bass is walking us down. Boom, doom, 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 doom.
Oh yeah, the
And-
bass walking down, and yeah, just like that rapid cymbal, and the like
Yeah.
doodle-doodle-doodle, like the
Yeah.
fluty. I think mellotron flute.
I
but it
would
could just be the
assume
flute.
that's the mellotron. It could be I don't think flutes were listed in the orchestra.
Oh, okay, right.
There are a lot of strings and something called an arco bass, which I think I looked up and is also a string.
Yeah, it
Also,
sounds like
the
it.
plural of cello is celli, but I didn't think people would understand that. so I put
Celli.
cellos. 2
Celli?
flutes. No, you're right. 2 flutes listed in the
Yeah.
listed in. So that could be those 2 flutes.
Yeah, just doing like kind of a trill, but they kind of trade off with the strings.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like a similar sound being played on both.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're kind of playing counter sometimes to that because there's a violin that kind of sweeps in the left channel and rises up, and then the flutes are going down. So we got this like 2 things going in opposite directions.
It's a cool like interplay between them, and I guess you get that like up and down thing, which is like space.
Spice.
Space. We don't have time to get into what that is
No, we don't. Shout out to Tim Curry.
for saying space that one time. And only once. There wasn't
only
budget to do
once.
another take. And then we move into, I guess it's like the hook kind of, you know? I don't know if I would necessarily call it that. It's like an instrumental section,
Yes.
but it's like, this is like the little like acoustic guitar riff that you get in the middle.
Oh yeah, the little like the almost like absurdly poppy like
Yeah.
clap clap.
Yeah, like they literally clapping. Another thing that is like pretty prominent in Mr. Deeds, the
Oh, of
Adam
course.
Sandler Mr. Deeds movie. Yeah, and then it's just like it's that little riff, and then you just kind of like you get like a drum roll like on the cymbals. The cymbals go Oh no, I said drum roll. It's not even a drum roll. It's like just a big crash.
Yeah.
And then a solo?
Yeah, because you dance clap, clap, and a clap, clap. And then, yeah, cymbal, bass drop, and then what must be the Mellotron?
I think so. There's also, right at the start, like a run up. I think that's just sliding the stylus along the stylophone, like chromatically.
Oh,
Because it's like smooth, but you can hear the distinction between all the notes. And like if you slide smoothly on a stylophone, it sounds like that.
And then guitar in here as well doing some it's rich. It is instrumentally rich.
Yeah, it's like very textured. It's all this like psychedelic spacey sounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
This feels like such like a culmination of like psychedelic music.
And then that must be, what does that? That's got to be those Arco basses maybe doing that.
The low?
Yeah, taking us out of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because right at the end you get that like really like crunchy low sound.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is.
It could be the bass.
Could be an
the
Arco
bass
bass.
is a string.
Like it's just so like broken up.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's very fucking cool. And then boom, from there we carry on into though I'm past 100,000 miles or multi-tracked.
Yeah, which again, like this part just feels to me like he's still kind of talking to them, but he's also just kind of thinking out loud.
Yeah, it's essentially it's a little of both because he's detaching to his new reality.
Mm-hmm.
He remembers just enough to be like, by the way, I love my wife.
Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of new stuff here though. I don't think.
No,
maybe more simple.
Yeah, maybe more simple. The big moment is, of course, tell my wife I love her very much. Which she goes very, very sweet for. And then the cutting in of ground control. She knows.
Yeah, which, of course, if it was a duet, would be very clear.
Yes.
You'd trade off lines there.
Absolutely. But it sounds great. It's dramatic as fuck. And then that she knows, the energy of that carries us right into this final message from ground control.
Yeah, in this like bridge section, things start to go wrong. Chords are starting to get scary. Things are, there's cacophony. There's also there's the guitar that played in the solo. Kind of makes a return. Just kind of, electric guitar part.
Yeah, it's doing like a couple of bends in that, like, can you hear me, Major Tom section? Maybe also like done by like tuning, detuning. I don't know. It's like, can you hear me, Major Tom?
Yeah, just like cool. Well, I don't know. There's slides, like you said, could be tuning. It's cool.
Yeah, and then we're back in the chorus. Pretty similar to the first chorus.
Yeah, I mean, also just a note on like the transition from "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" and then "Can you?" and then the first line of the chorus is "here," but it's HERE versus HEAR. Very cool.
Yeah,
Gotta love
they're
those.
Combined.
Yeah,
it's
very
so
good use of a homophone. Good stuff. It's simple, but it works. You go through another chorus, like we said, it's slightly different chorus. Lyrically, because he's kind of taken off.
And another one of those instrumental sections, essentially.
Yeah, another little guitar hook, and like that's most of it because it kind of builds up cacophony right at the end.
Yeah, really, like around 4:30, the guitar goes up very high, and this does this. Yeah, and everything starts raising up. The flutes are going nuts. Like everything is getting a little like out of tune, desynced, a little wonky.
Yeah, it's very much like this is like the disaster part of the song. Or or just like the loss of connection. Yeah, it's all very questionable. Like they don't really know what's going on. And he seems to be leaving them. But also maybe there's a malfunction as well. So things are happening and it's spooky. Yeah. And that's the song, guys. It's Space Oddity. You've heard it before. We gotta fucking whip through some music videos here. We do. We got so much. We've already taken 70 minutes, and we've got many videos. We got many to be. We're gonna be quick. The Love You Till Tuesday one, the first one shot. David Bowie looks kind of like Professor McGonagall in this. Like when you get close-ups of his face, he looks like a He's got the round glasses too.
Yeah, but super low budget. We're shooting through like I would guess like a roll of aluminum foil.
Yeah, it does look like that, where it's like reflective and we can just see the middle. And you kind of get, shots of David Bowie as Major Tom in some kind of spaceship, and then David Bowie as ground control. He's not singing the ground control part, but he is playing the ground control part. And because he has a shirt on that says GC 3 times.
As well as the hat says GC on it once.
Because he is ground control.
And later Major Tom will have like a piece of like equipment on him that says Major Tom on it, so we know for
does
sure.
Too. His like, I don't know, riot chest guard.
Yeah, like a riot gear chest plate.
Very tight shirt too.
Yes.
This is like super 60s Bowie, and it's all like 60s like sci-fi like bleeps and bloops and colored lights and buttons, like claustrophobic Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Yes, made in somebody's like living room.
Yeah. This is of course for the Love You Till Tuesday film that never really happened. And then it kind of, it shows them communicating, and it shows Major Tom stepping out with his helmet thing on.
And he's like, they do some pretty good shots of him like floating.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like around 108, he twists around in spot, and like sure, it all looks kind of cheap, but I'm like,
yeah,
kind of good too.
Was and then it's not bad. I mean, it's also like shot on film, right? So there's no like resolution issues, as far as I can tell. And then he steps out into space and finds some ladies.
That's so
some space women.
Space women, which is so like 60s.
I know, and they're like, look
damn, there's hot ladies in space.
Wow. And they're like, Major Tom, you got to respond. And he's like, I'm just in my capsule with my space ladies.
Yeah. And they like the space ladies strip him. So like, very psychedelic. And then there's like drive-in servers too. We got roller skating ladies later.
Oh, I missed that part. Where are the roller skating?
I believe that's this video, isn't it?
There's roller skating ladies in Major Tom Coming Home.
Oh, maybe I've confused them. You see, we're kind of yeah. There's no roller skating, just his two hotties.
Yeah, just two hippies.
Yeah, and then we get some like overlays of stuff. We get some red filter, some blue filter.
Oh yes, they're not really very hippie. Anyway,
no. But yeah, kind of rock solid for what it is. Like,
yeah, it's just them kind of filming. Allegedly, it looks like. I mean, I do like the description lists February 2nd, 1969. So that's coming up. That's Groundhog's Day.
Hey, that's Groundhog's Day. But and what's most interesting about this video, perhaps besides the actual low budget film, which I think actually kicks the shit out of a lot of music videos we watch.
Yeah.
But is the original composition, this original duet demo with like an organ on it and shit. It's very like, it's good. But this is the difference between like David Bowie, the novelty musician, and David Bowie, the fucking legend, right? Is the difference between these two versions.
Yeah, more or less.
But we got to move on to the 1972 one, produced and directed by the photographer Mick Rock.
Yeah, who took a bunch of photos of Bowie and other artists.
And also did, I believe, he did a music video that we've talked about. He's done a lot of Bowie music videos.
We have.
And I should have, we have, and he has. He directed the Life on Mars music video.
Which, I mean, these were both kind of around the same time updates, like videos filmed for songs that had already been kind of hits.
Yeah, Bowie has a quote. He's like, I don't know why the fuck we were doing this. I was already done with it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, this is like later, this is Ziggy era. You can tell he's got the red hair, same as the Life on Mars video. And it's very red.
Yes. We got massive red lights there. Very like a concert lighting kind of setup.
Yeah. And kind of a vaguely sci-fi looking environment, which seems to actually just be a recording studio.
Yeah.
Like they're 100%. Like, look, sci-fi computers, and it's like that's the board, man.
Yeah, it's like that's just a digital clock.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
no, it's counting down,
it's counting
bro.
Down
like in space.
That's just a 7-segment display. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. And we even open with like these wavelengths, like some kind of computer screen.
Yeah, they show like the oscilloscope scream.
Yeah.
And that like overlays the footage. A lot of it is David Bowie sitting on like a stool strumming his guitar, with a very strong red light on him.
Yes, and being completely uninterested in this because he was apparently done with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, passing off recording studio setups as like sci-fi equipment.
Yeah.
Great move. Like obviously we know that it's not that, but it probably played in 1972.
Yeah, it plays well enough. And it's mostly him just sitting there playing his guitar.
Yeah, with interspersed shots of like
just-
fake sci-fi.
Yeah, and then there's bits where like they clearly just like ran around with the camera.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, danger, and it's just like zoom in on a
Yeah,
board
they like
or
go
whatever.
into a little office space. It
Yeah.
kind of looks like Fallout. Like there's some
does.
old ass looking computer and there's like a red filter on everything.
Yeah, but it's all just like recording electronics with knobs and switches and whatever.
Yeah. So is it like a great music video? It's all right.
It's
I think
fine.
I think Mick Rock was maybe more so just trying to capture David Bowie, like just really get some shots of that. And so you do get a lot of that. It feels like a very iconic Bowie look. Him sitting there with the 12-string guitar, like you said, is a pretty like iconic part of this era of David Bowie or just before.
I mean, we've got like between this and the Life on Mars video, it's like kind of the iconic looks of Bowie here, because here he's got like a sparkly sequin shirt on, and in the other one he's got like that blue suit, like a powder blue suit. So like both with the Ziggy mullet. So that's kind of like the looks, man.
Yeah. And so then we move 7 years into the future to 1979 when Bowie re-records this as like a 3-piece because the director David Mallet.
Oh, I forgot to write
do a
that one
music
down.
video. I think it is David Mallet, who I always forget because we've talked about him a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure. I don't know.
But
I just know that this was right. This is New Year's 1979, right? It was on this like New Year's show.
Yeah.
Will Kenny Everett ever make it to 1980? Question mark. Anyway.
Shit, I don't know, dude.
Anyway, so it's like a New Year's special. And a re-recording of the song, too.
Right. But yeah, Mallet's done a bunch of music videos. We've talked about, we've talked about one of these at least. Bad Reputation. Wild is the Wind by David Bowie. He's done a fucking ton. So like I see his name all the time. A ton of David Bowie ones. Surprisingly, not a lot of David Bowie ones we've talked about though.
Huh, interesting. I'm sure we'll get to it.
For Rush.
Did you do Time Stand Still?
Oh, he did Dancing in the Street. He did not do Time Stand Still.
Just wanted to ask. In any case, this video, again, it's like a different version of the song. But a lot of it, at least at the start, it's David Bowie sitting on a stool, playing the acoustic guitar into the camera and singing.
Yeah. And we've got all this, like, before that, we've got this, like, very filtered, like, explosions and floods on a blue screen.
Oh, yeah.
A guy kind of dancing wildly.
I don't have that in my version, I don't think.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe this was, like, a preamble to it.
Yeah.
That happens in mine, because I hear the guitar, too.
Are you watching? Because there's a Dick Clark Salute to the 70s version. I'm watching the Kenny Everett version because it's introduced by this guy. He's like, oh, David Bowie. He's my friend. He's your friend. But mostly he's his own friend. Watch this video.
Okay. So this guy says, I've got one uploaded by Rage called David Bowie Space Oddity 1979 version. And he says, as far as I'm aware, this video was only played once on Rage. And that was around April 1990 on a Saturday night David Bowie special.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the intro
video was made
is.
for the Kenny Everett video show. So maybe I'm watching like a re-release of that.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, yeah, the first major image is, of course, David Bowie's face.
Yeah. And then it kind of pulls out and he's playing the guitar.
He's playing the guitar. Probably the coolest move here is once he does the intro verse lift off.
Yeah.
He puts the guitar down.
And walks away and like walks over to another set. And you can see like the camera moving and like you can see the behind the scenes stuff. And then he walks over to this set that's like a padded room.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just like another chair there with another guitar.
Another guitar. So yeah, we now have this dramatic like idea of somebody who is mentally unwell. as he sits there and just plays guitar pretty straight. We zoom in on his face. Eventually, the face becomes, see-through, and then we can see David Bowie from a different angle in that same room playing guitar on like a kind of moonlit night look. So there's light coming in through that top window, but it's dark on the set. Just
Yeah.
get that sense of loneliness.
Yeah. It in your version, does it cut to the
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Because it also cuts to like black and white footage of something we've talked about.
Yeah.
This like kitchen room with a nurse, and he's in like a barber chair with a bunch of like tubes on it that we saw in the Ashes to Ashes video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like simulating a space launch here, kind of. So he'll do things that don't make sense, and then like something will explode in the house to coincide with that.
Yeah, things explode. So this is almost like the remade version to be a prequel to Ashes to Ashes.
Right.
So that's fun.
Yeah, this is like the incident that makes Major Tom seek help.
Yeah, this is the missing link.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, and it's a cool little setup. It's like I said, it's 3-piece. Allegedly during some live performance, Hans Zimmer played the piano for this.
Okay, that's neat.
So that's neat, but it's a little more dramatic this way. It's a little more like it's less psychedelic and more like just zoomed in on David Bowie.
More just psych.
More just Psych, yeah. Like the TV series Psych.
Like the TV series Psych, which I've definitely seen.
Okay, you don't need to see it. It's
Haven't
not a
seen
good
it.
series.
I
Come
won't
at me,
watch it.
Reddit. I don't fucking care. And do we end with him like hooked up to this weird space machine?
Yeah, the end of mine, Kenny Everett comes out in a weird costume, but
Okay.
yeah, he's hooked up to the machine, and there's like an
Okay.
explosion, kind of.
Because yeah, mine basically ends with footage from the Ashes to Ashes music video.
Oh, the weird machine.
And then there's Bowie as the clown walking off with some lady, and then there's a superimposed image of Bowie hooked up to like a spooky like they got tubes in him kind of machine.
That's not in my version.
Okay.
It just ends with he's like him in the kitchen, and there's like, oh no, he's in the like asylum playing.
Yeah, I see that shot, and it's dark. Oh, and then it lightens up. Does it lighten up the end of that shot?
Yeah, it lightens up, like turns white.
Yeah.
And then in this version, Kenny Everett walks out in like a bowler hat and like a
Okay,
suit,
so
and he's like, "Hello."
I wonder
Hello.
if the Kenny Everett one just kind of like cut that just for time, or if this is like they added this for this release on Rage.
Yeah,
Because it
I
could
don't
be
know.
either.
Because then again, it ties in with Ashes to Ashes, right? Like that really expensive, big deal music video that came out like soon after. I don't know.
Yeah, one of
yeah,
the
so
most
that's weird.
expensive music videos.
Man,
That's
there's
weird.
a lot to talk about with this song.
There's a lot to talk about. 1979, we're done. We're closing the window on that. 2019, they released a new mix. Tim Pope directs a music video, using a lot of footage from 1997. Did we say 97? His 50th birthday concert at Madison Square Garden. 'Cause
Yeah.
David Bowie loves New York.
Yeah. He loves New York. He lived there. This is also posthumous. This was made after his death. But yeah, it's just a bunch of this like kind of archival footage put together. It's a lot of that. I don't know. There's just like weird footage of David Bowie doing stuff as the song plays underneath.
Yeah, and it's a very like it's later than his 50th birthday, because the 50th birthday stuff we see, he's obviously got his short, like spiked up kind of hair. And
Yeah.
we get more like sort of 2010s era David Bowie, him in a suit. A lot of this profile shot of him. What I'm most curious about is we do get footage of him lip syncing to the song later on in there as this older Bowie. Around like 305.
Yeah, but he's got all the hair. I feel like that's like early 90s Bowie.
Oh, you think maybe that's 80s, like Let's
Yeah,
Dance era?
Either Let's Dance or like Black Tie, White Noise.
I could be it as well. Yeah.
Something with Nile Rodgers. I'm getting a real Nile Rodgers vibe.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, we do get this nice like archival footage. Things are kind of we got a like one shot it returns to, you can see it at 2:30 is Bowie performing, and there's like confetti falling around
Yeah,
him.
there's a lot of that. It looks like confetti or was going to say
and it's like
leaves, but
yeah, and it's the same kind of color as his head there, probably due to the lighting.
yeah.
But it's almost like he's like flaking and falling apart or something. Like there's some good
Yeah.
imagery
It's a
in
cool
this.
visual, yeah.
Yeah. Did you need another David Bowie Space Oddity music? No.
Probably
No, you
not. In
didn't. You
2019,
probably
probably
didn't.
not.
You're right. That probably is black tie white noise era. But yeah,
Looks
it's
just
some
younger.
nice archival footage. Put together pretty nice. Can't complain about it. What I
All
can
right.
complain
Now
about is us.
is us. We've almost hit the hour and a half mark. Let's start talking about covers.
After this short break.
This short break. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Bum, bum, ba-da-ba-da-ba.
All right, we're back talking covers of Space Oddity, starting in the year 2001 with the Langley School's Music Project.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is from the late 70s, but wasn't released until 2001.
Yes.
And of course, this is Langley, BC in Canada.
This is Langley, BC. Yes, so I was at a local record store here, Noise to Go Records.
Yeah.
That's noise with a Z, folks.
Of course.
And the dude there, he's basically just a hobbyist who runs this store. And he's like, hey, man, check this out. And he had this CD,
Oh,
and he's like, this was like a bunch of, he just told me the whole story. I was like, okay, man, whatever. And it turns out like it's a very big deal and like a huge example of outsider music.
yeah.
Which is a genre we've talked about before. So it's a collaboration of students from 4 different elementary schools in Langley, which is part of Metro Vancouver for folks not around. Essentially, it's part of the larger Vancouver city area.
Yeah.
Much larger. It's
It's
pretty
like
much the
a
furthest out.
suburb kind of thing.
Fronted by a teacher named Hans Fenger, who says, I knew virtually nothing about conventional music education and didn't know how to teach singing. Above all, I knew nothing of what children's music was supposed to be. But the kids had a grasp of what they liked, emotion, drama, and making music as a group. Whether the results were good, bad, in tune, or out was no big deal. They had what he calls, and I looked this up, I forgot, they had elan. That's E with an accent,
Yeah.
L-A-N.
I Googled this as well. Enthusiastic
forgot.
vigor and liveliness.
Yes, this was not the way music was traditionally taught, but then I never liked conventional children's music, which is condescending and ignores the reality of children's lives, which can be dark and scary. These children hated cute. They cherished songs that evoked loneliness and sadness. So they record this. Eventually, a Victoria-based record collector, Brian Linz, finds this in a thrift store and sends it to a man named Erwin Chuzid, who's like an outsider music kind of like scholar or enthusiast, and he arranges the re-release. And he says about that re-release, when it became apparent to me that Basta's U.S. distributor would not fully understand the nature of this release, I decided to search for a U.S. label to cover the North American market. The Langley project was rejected by 10 labels. The consensus reaction from these companies indicated they didn't take these recordings seriously. Several referred to them as novelties and observed that no one would want to listen to this stuff a second time. The release is then delayed by 9/11 in the year 2001.
Of course.
But thank God they released it because it allowed everybody to heal. And artists whose songs are covered on this, including like Elton John and David Bowie, have heard and commented on this record, this recording. David Bowie says the backing arrangement is astounding. Coupled with the earnest, if lugubrious vocal performance, you have a piece of art that I couldn't have conceived of, even with half of Colombia's finest export products in me. He's talking about cocaine.
He's talking about cocaine, my friend.
Which he's got some fucking experience in, let me tell you.
Yeah, he certainly does. So, yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's definitely, it's a unique thing. And like, again, like, I don't know why he called it lugubrious. Mournful?
Lugubrious is a good word for it,
dismal?
I think.
Or perhaps, in an exaggerated way.
Because this essentially precedes the use of children's choirs, especially by films, to make a piece of music sound like immensely sad.
Fair
like
enough.
When they do like the Tears for Fears track, all around me are familiar
Right.
faces. What the fuck is the name of that song? Dreams in which I'm
Mad World?
Mad World, yes.
Or even like Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, kind of.
Yes. It does actually precede that.
Yeah.
Or it's probably around the same time. It's a 2001 release, but like you said, recorded in
but the Wall was
1976,
like
77.
79, 80, right?
Well, yeah, there you go. So it's a very odd project. It's a Canadian project. what does it sound like? It was recorded in a fucking
Yeah, like a
gym.
gym. Like it's obvious, like it's low quality recording, right? Like they did what they used what they had.
Yes.
It's like there's this guitar strumming through most of it.
Yeah, that's the real backbone, is like for
Yeah.
something for all the kids to like lock in on. That's it.
Very like, again, yeah, he mentioned if it's out of tune. Yeah, the guitar seems like it's kind of out of tune.
Yeah.
And thin, right? But then you kind of get, oh yeah, there's also like weird like sounds. I don't know what they are. It's like a
Like that
wavery
sorta,
sound.
like- Yeah, well, there's like a buzz in the background, which is probably like gym lights. And then there is
There's like
they
a
do like
boom.
boom, yeah, that like at 22 seconds, that like sort
Yeah.
of like they're hitting a bunch of xylophones or something.
Yeah, or I mean, like a synth could do that, but I don't know if they'd have access to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. And then like the like children's choir basically come in and start singing the lyrics, but they're doing, it's like, it sounds like a children's choir. It's not like acted. It's not a character. They're just singing it.
Yeah.
I will also say, I mean, there are criticisms that could be leveled about the recording quality and mixing.
Yeah, let's rip into these
Let's
kids.
rip into these fucking kids and their teacher. But I mean, that's there. Like, notably, like the levels are a little questionable. That's
the
fine.
drums are
The
so
drums are
upfront.
so loud. And also kind of out of time, I think. Like, at least there's like one cymbal hit that always seems to come in late, which
yeah,
would suggest to me that it was intentional, but it's like, to my ears, sounds like wrong.
sounds wrong. Yeah.
Like someone messed up, but they kept using it, so like clearly they were doing something they wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah. And then you've got like, so the kids are pretty aggressive with their countdown too.
Yeah.
And they stomp with every number.
Oh, they
10
do
stomp,
too.
9. So they're using every child's got a job here.
Yeah, and then like the kind of, they get to the tom part. Sounds very dreamy. That like wavery sound comes back. It's playing like throughout, off and on. And then there's like a marimba or a xylophone or something.
Yeah. Some sort of percussive like island instrument.
Yeah. And then they do, I mean, there's just a lot of sounds happening, They do a big like scratchy sound.
Yeah. So yeah, they do like to use just whatever they feel like might sound cool or good. So it has that like that naive element of just being like, maybe this is music. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. They're just like all doing a thing they want. So like, it's kind of neat,
It's kind of neat. It's interesting that for the verses, they always go up at the ends of their lines.
They do. They always do the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So the other thing I guess I forgot to note about the tom parts are like they slow it down and make it really dreamy, just for like Tom's like, I guess it's the chorus technically, but
yes,
it's interesting anyway. It's
Yeah,
a
they
lot.
go
Yeah,
real
it's all
quiet.
very interesting.
it's I would say like it's very obvious and easy, and like those record labels are saying, it's like I can see why they would be like, okay, it's a novelty, some kids fucking saying this.
Yeah, I don't want to say
whatever.
it's not a novelty.
It's
I
certainly novel.
Yeah.
And I'm not an outsider music aficionado. I kind of start and end with like Daniel Johnston, and I'm like, that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's there is like interesting choices, and even having those drums be up for like the unbalancing of it, as much as it is a technical mistake, is part of the charm and what makes this interesting to hear.
Yeah. It's like, it's cool. It's neat.
Yeah. It's and yeah, they go through it a few times. They do they get really loud. They go really quiet for the "Tell My Wife I Love Her Very Much," and then they fucking belt "She Knows."
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's and they do the 100,000 Miles verse twice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do. They split up the first verse with the chorus, and then like instead of doing the whole thing, and then do another chorus after the second half of verse 1. So it's kind of like the verse gets split up.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do it differently like that.
They do it.
And obviously they don't do the
twice,
instrumental parts. Like there's no guitar solo. It ends up being pretty long. I think mostly because of the repetition.
Yeah, I wonder if they just forgot to end it. Like if it's because they do they do the last verse essentially twice. So it's like maybe they were supposed to end, but they didn't. So they just kept going. Like,
Yeah, I guess because like they kind of just like repeat that can you hear us thing, and then just ends on like can you hear us? Can you hear us? So there's no like, oh, what's Major Tom up to up in the sky? Like we don't know.
We don't know. We do know that this version is available to hear online, folks. And hey, why not give it a listen?
It's at
oddity.
least worth a novelty listen.
If part of this song is being odd, then these guys are certainly that.
It's in the title, man.
It's in the title, dog. But what's not in the title are the words Tangerine Dream in 2010.
This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in the most peculiar way.
Yeah, Tangerine Dream, a German electronic music group that's been around for an awfully long time. Founded in 1967, but have had like a ton of lineup changes over the years. So they're that kind of thing. They're like a Baha Men situation.
Yeah, but with Edgar Froese being the only consistent member, Froese until his passing in 2015. And they're still going on. So interestingly enough, the band had enough connective tissue that even with the only consistent member gone, they have continued on.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
And 1967, so these guys are like no joke, a pioneering electronica act. They were like one of the first guys to get some traction doing this.
It is early on, right?
Mm-hmm. And you better believe these guys love to use some fucking synths. We open with their version is really, I would say, dreamy overall.
Dreamy. Yeah,
we hit that like synth right off the start. That boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
It's got such a like softness to it, very bubbly. We're in like the softened mind state of Major Tom as his spaceship feels still, more than we are in the tension of a rocket shooting off or anything like that.
Yeah, we kind of start there, right? Like it's we like set the track and stick with it, which is more common in like electronic music.
Yes,
we kind of making that transition. But yeah, it is like there's a droning synth. There's like that like you said. There's a strumming acoustic guitar, and then there's other things like they use the like charge up sound to lead into the chorus, which I think is on a guitar. And they have this really like distorted heavy guitar. So they do have some guitar. They got some synthesizer, but it's not like very heavy texture stuff. And then any transition is like they're all very smooth feeling, you know.
Yeah, because these guys are pretty well versed in what they do. Yeah, the guitar slides are very controlled going into the liftoff section. They got kind of like haunting, maybe post-punkish or new wave-ish vocal style.
The vocals. They start out very monotone, right? And then what they kind of do is like it's like two parts, right? They have that monotone one continuing, but then there's another voice doing like a more melodic, like higher part. So similar to what Bowie was doing where there's two different parts, but like theirs seems like more of a contrast between the two.
Yeah. It's maybe even two different guys. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It also, because they have like the low drone from the guitar, like the distorted guitar, you kind of like
real
have
crunch there.
Yeah, exactly. So like the song feels like you have that real contrast, which I guess is like you really feel like the distance, if that makes sense, like between the maybe ground control and Major Tom, you know, like
the sort of the two elements are present, that like techno crunch that is ground control, the very practical real world, and then the sort of the great unknown that is of course represented by a smooth synth arpeggiation.
Yeah, and maybe even a kind of shredding guitar after that, or like at least has a really smooth run.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, it is kind of very smooth and steady throughout. I do think their choice of tone and how they use everything though sounds very nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a cool like they don't have contrast between the sections, but like they kind of keep it with having that like weird like low high separation.
Yeah, and they're
Drone,
like
yeah.
instrumental sections, like around 225, you get your first one there.
Yeah.
Like you said, that shredding guitar, pretty good.
Yeah. And it's like got like a bit of that like synthy sound and like like run up. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens again after the next one around 350.
Yeah.
And that guitar solo lasts a while, right? Like
Yeah, they
it's
really
like,
tuck into the instrumentals
yeah,
here.
we fade out on the guitar solo, so
Yeah.
and you get some like other like screechy sounds that are kind of computery, you know.
Yeah, kind of beepy bloopy
Yep.
in
Lots
that
of
like
YouTube
breakdown
loops.
there. I thought it was a really good composition overall. It's not going to overtake the original by any means, but
No,
it
but
sounded pretty solid.
yeah, and they definitely have like layers to the texture and like they're thinking about the tones a lot, which that
Mhm.
one has that for sure, and I think they do a good job of it.
Yeah, and I guess as like an electronica group, they really did zone in on instrumentals and what they can do in kind of those two big breaks.
Yeah.
And I think they do a good job there. So hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Rob Zombie's brother.
Let's talk
though.
about
The
Rob
years-
Zombie's brother, Michael.
You mean Spider One?
Spider
Show some
One,
respect.
frontman of Powerman 5000.
And the year 2011.
Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in the most peculiar way.
Yeah, the Michael and Robert Cummings, aka Spider One and Rob Zombie.
Yes.
I think this is Scumbag Rock.
Scumbag
I think
Rock?
that's what this is.
Okay.
Which
Tell me
just means
more.
like it's got real like filthy attitude about it, which I think Rob Zombie fits in too, where it's like kind of like hard rock, heavy metal, but also everything feels very dirty. It's like a very grimy version of like the sleaze of glam, you know?
Right.
I mean, we saw Rob Zombie. Never been
We
a huge
did.
Rob Zombie fan, but we have seen him, and he's obviously got like his
He
aesthetic.
does look grimy.
He
for
looks
sure.
grimy, and that's like part of the aesthetic. And I feel like as much as this Spider One doesn't really have that, he kind of has that.
I could see that. I know him mostly for, well, their album that went big was 1999's Tonight the Stars Revolt, which I know the single When Worlds Collide from,
Yeah,
which
I think I've heard
has
it
appeared
referenced.
in one Rock Band game.
Okay, that's what it was. I thought that there was a Rock Band connection,
I think.
but I don't really know. I don't know their other songs. I recognize the band name. Yeah.
Yeah, Powerman 5000. This was a big, like that song When Worlds Collide, I think was big when like anime music videos were like heavy on like YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, where you could put whatever song with some footage of Naruto.
Yeah, exactly. Or like pre-YouTube, whatever like video hosting sites people were using then. Because I think my sibling
Yeah.
was big into anime music videos, and I
Makes
heard
sense.
that song through them. So that's really how I know Powerman 5000.
Yeah, that's where I heard the last Saskatchewan pirate. That's not true.
Oh,
It's only
there you
half
go.
true.
And that you have heard it there,
That I heard it. I have heard it there, but it's not the first place I heard it.
right? Powerman 5000. Yeah, like you said, maybe Scumbag Rock. Definitely, I think inspired by industrial rock and things of that nature.
Yeah, there's like this like hard rock, heavy metal thing going on with a lot of heavy sounds. Not the whole thing. I mean, but there's that, you know, there's heavy distorted guitar, but it doesn't start really like that. It kind of just starts with like some like echoey percussion that sounds like a wood block,
Mhm.
and then like into that guitar strumming. Well, not strumming. They do a finger picking pattern
Yeah.
instead, and then some theremin too.
Yeah, they got a theremin filling in space there. So that's kind of your like industrial kind of notes. It sounds like they're trying to make like a fake tech soundscape.
Yeah. The other thing, just a quick note about the brothers Cummings.
And Goings.
And Goings. Their last name is Cummings.
Yes, I'm aware.
They're like very like film inspired, right?
Yes.
Rob Zombie, obviously like kind of
A
horror
director.
B movies, but
Mhm.
it seems like Spider One maybe more sci-fi B movies, right? Like,
I'd buy that.
I mean,
for
also
sure.
just based on the name of the band is Powerman 5000, right?
Powerman 5000.
So he's got the theremin because that's the space sound, right? Like it makes sense that he would have that in that context.
Mhm.
Anyway, sci-fi song.
Yeah, we moved from that into like some sort of kind of echoey acoustic guitar arpeggio,
Yeah.
setting up a little drum. That theremin's still there, taking over for the stylophone essentially.
Yeah, basically just doing the drone. And then yeah, kind of like, it builds through the countdown. It's harsher. You get more like synth tones that are like harsh with that. They got like this really slow attack, and then they build to this really wide like rah, kind of wide fart.
Yeah, that wide fart bass, so like synth.
Yeah, and they really do the cacophony thing, and then break out into. Now we're
we
in
get
space.
like a real ignition sound there, like an explosion, some sparse guitar on top of it, big rise.
Yeah. Then they do like the guitar's really distorted playing like the chords. It's not chugging at this point. It will chug later, but like if they were muting, it would be chugging, but they're not chugging.
Yeah, they're kind of letting it ring out, and then another guitar is doing these kind of like wow, 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 wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow,
just doing like
wow.
steady kind of like trilling.
Yeah.
So another like pretty cool soundscape.
Yeah, and they do a pretty good switch up for the chorus. Because they get heavy on those drums.
They cut way down,
doo-doo.
right?
Yeah.
And it feels more introspective because it is. And then you kind of get that guitar following the melody. They remove like the space filling sounds, right? Like they don't have all the random synth things or not as many. The chugging comes in here eventually. But that, as we build.
Yeah, before we get that chug, I mean, we got to do that like real crunchy guitar hand clap section.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that post chug?
Oh,
it's post chug.
Post chug, yeah.
Dun 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 dun. That like their hand clap section is almost like pop punk in its performance.
There's a bit of that.
Down.
Yeah, because it's the like filtered down like distorted guitar.
Filtered down, and I think that even that just that chord progression in the original is a very poppy feel to it. It's very different.
Yeah, very much so. They got a guitar solo too right after that. Shredding, basically. It's mostly shredding. It's a big moment.
Yeah, and then gets pretty uplifting. Starts sounding like real triumphant.
Yeah, so it's, I guess, yeah, overall, it's like, it's very big. It's very loud, but like, I thought the sounds were pretty good too. I called it scumbag rock before, but that wasn't meant negatively necessarily.
No, you can positively be scumbag rock.
It's just like an aesthetic, right? But yeah, I think so. The guitar strum part, that moving into the guitar solo there, I really like that part specifically. Like, as I think the rest of it is like solid enough, but that part I thought like if the rest of the song had been on that level, that it would have been like just much stronger. Like it just reminds me of like the really good parts of like epic metal or like hard rock, almost like Get Organized by Boston. That I like that song. It's kind of cheesy, but like,
yes, like Get Organized, Alex.
just like very briefly, like the kind of like really empowering epic feel, and I feel like they do that for a bit, but the rest of the song doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't support it as much as it could, but it's still pretty solid overall.
Yeah, in terms of like having cool sounds, these guys have got it. In terms of like unity overall, the way that the original version has like all these wild sounds, but they really come together and take you to space and give you this drama and like give you a full, complete theatric experience. Powerman 5000 maybe doesn't nail that quite as like to a point, like to a fine point.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds pretty good the whole way through. But what is pretty good is Canadian content.
Canadian content, baby.
And that's why we're going to 2013 to talk about Chris Hadfield.
Chris Hadfield, Canadian astronaut and also music guy.
This is Major Tom to ground control. I've left forevermore. And I'm floating in a most peculiar way.
Yes, commander of Expedition 35 to the International Space Station.
Yeah, he's never. I mean, I feel like I've had opportunities to see this guy speak. I've not, but I saw
Yeah.
Robert Thirsk once,
Mm.
so that's similar. He doesn't.
Who the fuck is Robert
Another
Thirsk?
Canadian astronaut who,
Oh, cool.
I think he went to the University of Calgary, so he talks there a lot. I saw
right.
him. He came to actually my work one time to do his speech about going to the ISS.
Did he play Rocket
He
Man?
does not do music, unfortunately. He's not
That's
the music
bullshit,
guy.
man.
I think he referenced Chris Hadfield being the music guy in his speech at one point. He's like, and you have a guitar
course.
to Chris Hadfield or whatever.
Pure fucking
Yeah,
show
'cause they're
off.
colleagues is my point.
Yes, okay, very interesting. Do you think Elton John is pissed that Hadfield didn't do
Didn't
Rocket
do
Man?
Rocket Man? Maybe. I don't know, man.
I would do it, but I would do the William Shatner.
The William
Rocket
Shatner,
Man.
Rocket Man. I'm a
Rocket Man.
All right. I remember when this came
all
out.
right.
I remember when this Chris Hadfield
do.
version came out because everyone was like,
Yes.
you got to watch this Chris Hadfield video. And I was like, no thanks.
I did not give a fuck,
No,
dude.
not even a little bit. Mostly because people told me to. And I was like, that's fine. Yeah, I'm going to not.
This guy played Space Oddity in space. I was like, I don't fucking care.
But it was the first music video shot in space. There's a video to go along with it. That's kind of like
Yes.
it's intrinsic,
That's
more or less.
why it was
Yeah.
a big thing.
And
he changes the lyrics to reflect his time in space.
yeah, and like be kind of
Um,
more accurate to what he's doing. And it's more about leaving the space station after the mission.
Yes.
It says like open the Soyuz hatch, which is like the ship.
Yeah, lock your Soyuz
Lock it,
hatch.
right? Lock it, and then detach from the station, and then like guide the capsule.
Yeah, it's time to guide the capsule if you dare,
Yeah.
which is like, you kind of got to at that
Yeah,
point. dude.
you're
It's
in the
not about
capsule,
daring.
man.
You're fucking locked in.
And
I've left forevermore, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way. What are the other changes? Before too long, I know it's time to go.
Yeah.
Our commander comes down back to Earth and knows.
What does he know? Only he knows. Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing left to do, presumably because it's time to go home. So it's like it's about coming
Yeah.
back to Earth, really. I'm not 100% on the lyrical changes. They're fine. The story is maybe a little less interesting in that case, but it's more personal
Yes.
to him. So fair enough.
I think good on him for not being like space is fucked up.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Like to go with the original lyrics, like Bowie said, it's not a great vibe to have juxtaposed to the actual
to an actual
daily
space
lives
mission.
of astronauts. Yeah. Another interesting factor about this is the piano arrangement is by the multi-instrumentalist M. Greiner, who briefly played with Bowie in 1999, 2000. We've talked about a cover she did of a Bowie song. I can't remember which
I
one
don't
now,
remember either.
but we've talked about her before, and she's doing some of the instrumental work on this. It is a pretty fucking straightforward cover.
Yeah. I mean, he basically like went up to the International Space Station and he recorded the video and the vocals and the guitar part because he brought his acoustic guitar with him.
As you'll see in the video.
As you'll see in the video, there's shots of just like it floating around and stuff. That part of the arrangement is like pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Right? There's other things, like you said, like there's a person doing the arrangement, the parts recorded on Earth. There's strings. The strings fade in with the countdown. There's still background noise, pretty common throughout these versions to create this cacophony for the launch, right?
Yeah.
And then like there's drums and like piano chords and stuff, and this really like low buzzy bass, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cool sound. Love those buzzy basses just being like
Yeah, just
which I was a little surprised because I guess it's not like that unusual, but it's a neat sound.
it's a little neat, yeah. You just don't know what you're gonna get on a spaceman's production of Space
Yeah,
Oddity.
exactly. What is space really? What is it like? He knows what it sounds
He
like.
knows. He's been there.
But I mean, it follows it pretty closely. There's like fluty sounds, kind of mellotron sounding sounds in there too. Referencing the original. So I'd say like the sounds overall are pretty decent. As much as it is, like we said, kind of like a straightforward cover. And like, he's fine at singing. He's not a professional singer. He's a professional astronaut. Like, he does a
Yeah, he
decent
sings pretty
job.
high. He does a great job for singing. And I don't know what it's like to sing in
Yeah,
space.
it's probably harder. I don't know. Everything's harder in space.
That's what she said. Sorry, that's the best I got.
Best I got. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's this version. I'll tell you what, the fucking music video sure makes you think space is cool because there's all these shots of space.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat shots of space, which I think based on, so like there's a lot of shots of him in like that little room with like the window and you can see the earth. That's like a specific little module in there. I mean, like everything, it's more cramped than it looks. I know, like every like I said, I saw Robert Thirsk speak, and he'd say like, yeah, it looks okay in the photos, but like if you're actually there, it's very small, which is interesting. But it's cool because you can like look out the window and see the Earth, and that's neat.
Yeah, like the shot of the guitar floating through the hallway at like 110.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no one else in this video, so it does feel very lonely. Though I don't think he was ever actually alone on the ship or on the station, but
yeah. And of course, it ends with like footage of a capsule coming back to Earth, like the parachutes.
Yeah, it looks just like re-entry of the whatever craft brings you back.
Whatever craft brings you down.
The Soyuz. Presumably
the thing with a Soyuz hatch. I think the station has a Soyuz hatch on it.
Okay, I just know like Soyuz is like Russian space program stuff. So
yeah, well, it's an international space station.
It is international.
So we got the Soyuz hatch. We got the Canadarm.
We do have the Canadarm.
We got other shit
and
up there.
And other things probably. Yeah. So yeah, there's a video. It's got cool shots of the space station.
Yeah. It's cool. It's a novel experience. It's another novelty. But what's more novel than having a 2016 cover by the Flaming
Lips?
This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way.
We've talked about the Flaming Lips. They're a neo psychedelia rock group.
Yes.
We've talked about them several times.
Part 1 of Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. Do you realize? And their covers of Life on Mars, Can't Get You Out of My Head, and Getting Better.
That's it. That's what we talked about. And now this.
That's what we've talked about before.
Their cover of Space Oddity, which I saw live in 2018.
Yes.
Because you bought a ticket to see this show and then went out of town.
Yes.
And gave me a ticket. So thank you.
For $20, man.
Yeah, $20. So
it was a steal of a deal for both in terms of getting you a birthday present. I was like, oh, fuck it, I have this ticket
and
I'm not going to use.
It was pretty awesome. Very awesome show. I like did not know any Flaming Lips basically at that point. I know a lot more now, even though I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan or anything, but like I like them quite a bit. And yeah, I saw this.
Yeah,
he put on the spacesuit.
They put on the space. So, in the arrangement for their live performance was essentially the same as this.
I don't remember. Okay. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Because I love Flaming Lips. Great band. I've been cursed ever since I gave you that ticket, though. I haven't been able to see him live.
Yeah, and there's recent news that Stephen Draws like left the band again, so it's just Wayne Coyne on his own again, plus band. So
plus band.
Yeah. Probably still be cool to see live, but you wouldn't see Stephen Draws wear like a little cape, play his synths.
And that's really the only reason I want to go.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll wait for the Draws solo tour. But they have such a great sound. They're usually very experimental with their covers. I found this cover to be very safe.
Yeah, I mean it's
structurally.
It's still structurally much the same. They don't really follow the structure really closely and then like do a lot of like weird sounds with their synths and filters and stuff. It's like very Flaming Lips sonically.
The tones on everything are very Flaming Lips. Like the sonic signature of it is Flaming Lips, but if like in terms of where notes happen and when they land and what notes they are, it's textbook basically. It's fully ripped from the original.
Yeah. So then the one thing I will say, they don't do the countdown.
That's right.
They don't do like a countdown overlaid with that verse. They just kind of do the verse. And of course, there's lots of lo-fi sounds. which is, part of their sound, things sound like tape is really straining to reproduce the sound.
Yeah, they do love like a bit of tape decay on theirs.
Yeah. The strumming is really metallic sounding, like the guitar is just like
very
really
metal
filtered
strings.
down and like very clean, but like feels very metallic. Yeah, it's Flaming Lip sounds, but it's this song, Wayne Coyne singing, raspy and high when he's singing, but he kind of speaks the first part more of a speaking voice, and then Stephen Draws does some backup vocals.
Yeah, they got this. They got that. I mean, it's very hard to talk about it and really lay down their specific. But there's like a sincerity, I guess, to some of Coyne's like vocal performance, like real softness to it that I think, especially when doing the Major Tom parts, like has some heart to it.
Yeah, he has kind of a way of like when he sings, because he's got like a real rasp to his voice. Even when he like his delivery is softer, he can do a softer delivery, but just the rasp gives it attention.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, so it's like the combination of those elements means that like he can do that kind of a delivery very naturally. And yeah, this song has it.
Yeah. So it is like truly, it sounds boring for us to just say it's like a Flaming Lips version of
but it really
Space
is.
Oddity.
Listen to some Flaming Lips. It's worth your while.
It's worth your while. And of course, they do have a music video as well, of like two nuns who one is in mourning. They go to like a graveyard and cry outside of a tomb, and then the other nun gives the grieving nun some drugs.
Yeah, like as they say, take your protein pills, kind of implying like the protein pills are like, I don't know,
psychedelics.
Drugs.
Because she starts really wilding out as she trips out on these drugs.
Yeah, the one nun is like, they're like sitting on a couch. Well, I mean, it starts there in a graveyard, but then they go to a couch pretty quickly, and then like after taking those pills, they start to like project images on the wall. So some psychedelic stuff.
We get really like live classics, like there's like smoke and the projection of light outwards so that it looks really trippy.
Right, because there's really two scenes, because we're cutting between the band playing in a church basically
for an audience of balloons.
An audience of balloons, and then these nuns who are just like somewhere else, maybe in this church, on a couch with the camera fairly close in on them, just like lying there, sitting down with some flowers. And then eventually one of the nuns just like starts taking her clothes off.
Yeah, progressively getting more naked, and they're laughing and having fun. So there's this like release from whatever she was mourning.
Yeah.
And that's the music video. It's fun. It's the Flaming Lips. It's a good time. We got to crack into some final verdicts here. We got 3 categories today: the worst version, the best version, and the most far out version.
Far out,
man. Which
man.
one's the spaciest? What's out there?
Which Space Oddity is the spaciest and odditiest.
Yes, that's right. But Alex, what's the worst version?
What's the worst version this week? Man, these were all pretty solid versions. I don't know, man. I feel like it's tough because like everyone did like fine, but there's 2 kind of outsider versions, and it's tempting to give it to them just because like in terms of just like production quality, theirs is lower. So like I didn't dislike the Langley School's one, but I guess that's it. I don't know, man, but like there were things that I liked about it too. It was cool, but I just liked the other ones kind of more.
If I were to like really break it down and think about, and it does come down to the outsiders for being outsiders, but if Chris Hadfield's version was not filmed and recorded in space, is it that interesting?
That's a good point. Not really. If he had come back to Earth and been like, now I'll record it, it would have been much less interesting.
Yes. So looking at it from a perspective of is the music interesting, the answer for the Langley School's music project is yes.
That's a good point.
It is interesting.
That's a good point. And I didn't really want to give it to them. It's just clearly like the lowest quality recording from like I said, like production quality standpoint.
Right.
But yes, the one that's least interesting and that I won't come back to is Chris Hadfield. That said, I might tell people about it.
I still think it's cool. Like
it's cool
it's
that it
undoubtedly
happened, right?
cool. But when we come down to these final verdicts, I do think we are audio focused more than like overall
Yeah.
experience. And so then it comes down to interest for those two. And I think Chris Hadfield is the less interesting version, even with the inclusion of M. Greener or Griner on, the piano and things there. It's like, that's novel, but it's not as interesting or weird as Langley School. So Chris Hadfield is the worst version. It's a very minor dishonor this week.
Yeah. Very minor.
What's the best version, though?
What's the best version? There were some cool versions here. Some really cool versions. I think I would probably give it to Tangerine Dream because I enjoyed it. I mean, it's cool. A different approach because they don't do as much difference between the verses and the chorus, but they still kind of create some distance there. And I think that is an impressive feat.
Yeah, I think their instrumental sections are really nice. I think they're, like we've mentioned, kind of the ways they handle the idea of space and ground control, those two realms, and have that a little bit in there is interesting. And despite being, very level, even like this is the instrumental setup, this is what we're doing, plus or minus some instrumental breaks, it sounds very good. And I was shocked at how much I liked it. I was also shocked it was a 2010 release.
Yeah.
Just their sound wise, I was like, these guys are like 80s probably. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's 2010. I really enjoyed it. I think that's my number one as well this week. But Alex, what's the most far out,
Most
man?
far out version, man. Oh, man. It's tempting to say the Flaming Lips because they've got the psychedelic thing going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it might actually be the Langley Schools, It's pretty far out, man. Just like the kind of haunting children thing with the weird sounds and like loud drum. I don't know. Something about it. There's like a real feeling of distance in it.
Yeah, it's and it's unexpected. Even if you're familiar with like some outsider music, you're like, wow, these guys are doing weird shit. And yeah, for the Flaming Lips, it's far out in comparison to other artists, but for the Flaming Lips, it's actually surprisingly tame, I think. Especially looking at other
Good
covers
point.
they've done, it's like they didn't quite go as far as they've gone with others. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's true.
Langley School's music project might be your most far out this week. But that's our final verdicts. If you got different opinions, similar opinions, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, which there are a ton, hit us up on Blue Sky at Sneaky Me at some Alex Wise Guy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. You can also email those to us at covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on all the apps. We're on your Spotify. We're on your Amazon Music. We're on iTunes. It's not iTunes anymore, is it? It's Apple Podcasts. That's what it is.
Yeah.
One day I will get this section right. Poddrama, Pocket Cast, Podbean. What you can really do to get the word out there, especially a lot of our listeners are in the States and things are getting pretty hairy there right now. Back in the 60s when the song was released, it was pretty classic for hippies to put little flowers in the ends of guns. If you can put like, I guess, a USB stick with a bunch of episodes of Cover Me on them in the end of a gun barrel.
The end of a gun barrel. Hack the episodes. Remove half the
remove half the audio, so it's just the tenor sections, just the treble. Yep. It could be even your own gun, and you can fire it out. Use a t-shirt cannon to fire USB sticks into the crowd. I hope things improve in the States. It's really ugly out there. Yeah. I'm sorry for making light of it. But that does it for today's episode of Cover Me. And as we always say on Cover Me, tell my wife I love Cover Me.
She knows.